Howdy, guys, and welcome to Cliff Notes, and welcome to night number 56 of the Overnight Feed Recaps for Big Brother Season 26. Okay, Julie Chen was out last night. The feeds have been gone all night long. Welcome to Friday the 13th to all of y'all. Yeah, starting off strong, isn't it? All right, so do you want to know who won the HOH overnight? Yes, so do I. And yet we don't know because, as I mentioned, the feeds are still out. We still don't know what's going on. I do have a few scenarios I'm going to throw out there about what could be happening. But before we talk about that, let's talk about what we do know, which ends at the live eviction episode yesterday. We did see Quinn get voted out last night. Only 2 votes in support of Quinn voting out Chemo. Talk about that in a second. But we did see Quinn get voted out last night. No huge surprises in the eviction or the votes, the way they went, really. He headed out the door with the amount of silliness, the amount of humor that we all come to expect from Quinn. So Quinn, super fan, strategic game player or not, it's not going to be quite as wild and crazy in that house without him in there. First member of the jury. So Quinn's out the door. We are now down to 8 house guests left in that place. We did, as I mentioned, see Julie Chen out. Jerry O'Connell stepped in her place. Just didn't feel the same, did it? That'll take a little while to get used to. He said it was a one-time only deal. But yeah, Miss Julie Chen last night. All right, let's talk about those votes real quick before we talk about these mysterious missing feeds. 2 votes sending out Chemo, Leah and Angela. The only 2 who voted to send Chemo out. Everyone else voting to send Quinn out the door. Did Leah and Angela know ahead of time that everyone else was voting out Quinn? Or was this part of the plan we had heard vocalized earlier in the week from excuse me, vocalized earlier in the week from Mackenzie, saying she was going to let the 2 of them think that she was going to vote out Chemo along with other people so that they would be left high and dry come Thursday night? Well, that's exactly what happened. They're the only 2 that voted against Chemo. Does that make them a little bit bigger target even than before for T-Core, Rabina, and Chemo? It would seem like it. I really want to see the feeds. I want to see the repercussions of Leah and Angela. Do they feel like they were burned by Mackenzie and others on that side of the house in not being told how the house was going to vote? I don't know if Leah would have still voted out Chemo or not if she knew, but I kind of think Angela maybe would have wanted to go with the house. I don't know. We'll find out. Or maybe we won't. Depends on what happens with these feeds. But yeah, I'll be curious to see how that turns out. All right. I mentioned kind of weird watching Jerry O'Connell hosting instead of Julie. The big drama last night was going to be not so much the recaps and all of that, was going to be watching the HOH. I was really hoping that we would at least get to see the beginning of an HOH competition, if not the whole thing, but at least the beginning of it at the end of the show. Now, no, we did not. Following the East Coast feed, which I get to watch here in Houston, following East Coast feed, the feeds were down, but that's not really that big a deal. We typically lose it until the West Coast gets their feeds anyway, so no worries. All right, we're not going to get the live competition, but at least I'll be watching when the feeds come back on. We'll be watching to see who's got the key around their neck, who has won such an important HOH. So I start watching and watching and watching, and the feeds are still down as of 6 o'clock Big Brother time. 8 o'clock Houston time. Yes, the entire evening, however many hours that is. Nothing but the theme music or the music we get when the feeds are down, and a whole lot of pets running around. Every time the scene shifts from one pet cell to another, it gets my attention. I jerk over and I'm watching to see. So I'm still doing it. But yeah, so no idea who's won HOH. Have they even done HOH yet? We're just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting some more. So what has happened? Well, as I mentioned, I do have a few thoughts I'm going to throw at you. First of all, the first thought is that this could be an endurance competition. It's just lasting forever. I had predicted that it very easily could be slip and slide, for example, some type of endurance competition, which may have a certain long time frame to it. But I don't think slip and slide. I know slip and slide wouldn't last this long. I say that it only took him one round for OTEV. So knowing this house, it could be that it takes 24 hours or so worth of a slip and slide to get back and forth. think some people in the house would be a little bit faster than that. So I don't think at this point in time that it would be slip and slide. There's no way it would last that long. But pressure cooker, perhaps. Pressure cooker has lasted long enough that could be going on right now. So it is possible that you've got that endurance competition instead. But then the question is raised, why didn't we get to watch it? If it's going to be pressure cooker, even a teaser at the very end of the show showing the set, saying the house guests are getting ready to head to an endurance comp, something along those lines. I would have expected that we would have gotten some sort of teaser about it, being such an iconic, such a big deal competition. And I would have almost expected to at least get the first bit of it shown. We saw it last year when they brought pressure cooker back. I would have thought if it was just a matter of endurance, even if we didn't get the whole thing, we would have at least gotten a big chunk of it to watch, and we didn't. So what does that mean? Well, it's possible that it is the pressure cooker competition, but there's some kind of twist. There's some kind of involvement with Ainsley's replacement AI that production doesn't want us to see, which I'd rather see the live feeds and see this thing going down as opposed to having some kind of twist hidden from me. But I get it if that's what production is doing, that maybe there's something involved in this competition that they just want to keep hidden from us. Now, if that's the case, it worries me a little bit that could it be till Sunday's episode that we don't get any feedback about what's going on? Possible. We shall see. So yeah, I'm wondering if it's an endurance comp and they just don't want us to see something with the twist. Did y'all catch the replacement AI's name at the very end of the episode? Ainsley came out and said, I'm gonna be off visiting the world or whatever. Sounds like the Wicked Witch more than Ainsley, but hey, saying that she's going to be visiting the world, but she was bringing in her replacement named the Junior Artificial Neurokinetic Intelligence Entity. And we saw the house guests trying to remember what all the words they had used were and all that. Well, if you take the acronym of that Junior Artificial Neurokinetic Intelligence Entity, you come up with either Janie or Janky, depending on whether neurokinetic is one word or two. And I've seen done both ways online. So Janie or Janky is coming in to take Ainsley's place. It sure seems about the right time for Zingbot to be making an appearance. So maybe Zingbot, Janky, or somewhere, some kind of connection. I could see that happening. Now, normally Zingbot makes his appearance as part of a veto competition. But it could be an HOH. I think that's happened once or twice before. So it could be that's going on. Could it be that there is some kind of endurance competition, say the pressure cooker, and that Zingbot is hanging around out there and harassing this house guest the whole time they're playing the game, and they don't want us to see all the zings that are taking place? Could be. So scenario number one, possibility number one. It's also possible that there's a more standard HOH competition that's going to occur that just hasn't taken place yet. Perhaps the house guests are sound asleep in the HOH, or perhaps the house guests are sound asleep in the Big Brother house without a clue that we're so frantic at this point in time. They're preparing for an HOH that may just not take place until this morning. There is some precedent for something like that. During my season, the HOH that took place after the double eviction episode didn't take place until the following morning for some technical reasons that took place. So maybe there's something going on that they just haven't had the HOH competition itself. But if that was the case, why not show us the feeds overnight? Why not let us see them in the house, wondering, impatiently waiting for this HOH, getting more and more paranoid as they wait for the call to be made? That would be fun as well, and we didn't get that either. Between Julie being out last night and Ainsley announcing that a new AI was stepping into the game itself, I bet these house guests are spooked. I bet they're paranoid, wondering what's going on. If there's some kind of connection between Julie being on and the new AI coming in, that combined with how important this HOH could turn into, could have these house guests on edge. And I would love to be watching that, but we didn't get the feeds. But scenario two, that the HOH competition just hasn't happened yet. All right, another scenario to throw out there. What if it was a competition like Slip and Slide and someone was hurt? You know, there's some people have a little more bounce than others, but going back and forth with something like slip and slide, it is possible that someone falls, has an injury that maybe necessitates some medical attention, maybe necessitates a trip to the local urgent care. Something. There are always medics on hand during all these comps, but what if someone was injured a little bit, and so they've just got it shut down while that person is off getting treated and taken care of, and they'll be once they're back in the house, at that point they would turn the feeds back on. I think it's possible. I don't have any indication that's taking place. It's just one possible explanation. But yeah, what if someone got hurt with whatever comp's going on, and that's why they've delayed it? So another scenario there. All right, here's another scenario. What if Julie Chen was not the only one that came down with COVID? They announced that she announced before the show as well that this would be the first time she ever missed a live episode, that she was out with a case of COVID. I think she said it wasn't a serious one, but she was out with COVID. Is it possible that there are others either with COVID, exposed to COVID, or maybe just in an abundance of caution, CBS and production is just being incredibly careful because of potential exposure to COVID, and how that could impact the house if it got into the house itself. And as a result, maybe they're taking some extra steps, some extra measures to completely separate the house guest from production and things like that. Because here's the thing, we don't interact with production people at all. Even when they're getting the house set up for the live episode, we're locked away in the HOH room while they come in and change camera angles and do whatever they do. You have no contact, but there are a lot of people involved in the construction of these sets, bringing stuff in here and there. Is it possible that just out of an abundance of caution, they don't want these house guests touching or exposed to anything that was just recently touched by someone outside the close set of that house? And it very well could be at this very point in time that the HOH competition is being steamed and sterilized, and all kinds of extra precautions being taken in order to make sure that nothing happens. Because the last thing that production wants is for one of these house guests to come down with COVID, and before you know it, everyone in the house has it. And that could certainly create major issues with the game of Big Brother and this season. And none of us want that as well. So the fact that Julie had that, could it somehow be carrying over to the production itself, and people just being a little cautious and making sure everything is dealt with proactively so that we don't have to deal with that? Maybe. I don't know. Just another thought to throw out there. Who knows at the end of this? But what I do know is that it was a long night of very fitful sleep, starting to realize as we got later into the evening that we may not get these back for a while. So playing the TV in the background, taking a little nap here and there, jerking awake every time I saw the corner of my eye, the set change a little bit to another critter on the screen and all of that, and just waiting and waiting and waiting. And then still we wait because this could be an incredibly important HOH. And I'll continue to wait. So yeah, there you have it, guys. I don't know what's going on. Could be several different things, some bigger deals than other deals, but I hate that we're missing the live feeds. There better be a big payoff at the end of it. And for me, my big payoff is if the feeds finally do come back and we have seen that Leah has won the HOH. Yeah, for maximum chaos potential, I'm kind of cheering for Leah to win an HOH because I'm really curious to see what she would do. I think she'd go after Chelsea. Would she go after Robina or Chemo on the other side? I don't know, but it would be fun to watch. But Leah or anyone else, I just want to find out what's going to happen. So please, Big Brother, if you're watching this, bring the live feeds back. Let us know what's happening. All right, guys, be careful on this Friday. Hey, maybe a great day to stay tuned to the TV as much as you can. But have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. Hopefully by tomorrow morning, I'll have some information on who the HOH is. If not, well, we'll talk about something. Guys, have a great Friday. Until tomorrow, SKD 143. Cheers, my friends. Bye. Bring back the feeds. Bring back the feeds. Bye, guys.